Welcome back. Since you're here, it means you're ready to cut through the bullshit and learn some self-care that actually works. But before we dive into the good stuff, we need to clear the air about some myths that may be cluttering up your brain right now. Here's the unfortunate truth. Most of us have been fed a load of crap about self-care, and it's keeping us stuck in stress cycles that do not serve us. So, we're clearing up some common myths so you can get on with your life. Myth number one, course. Self-care is selfish. So you might be thinking, the world is falling apart, people are suffering, and I'm supposed to focus on myself? That feels gross. I get it. But you know what's actually selfish? Showing up depleted, reactive, and running on fumes for the people and the causes you care about. When you are chronically stressed and burnt out, you're not your best self. None of us are. We snap at the people we love, we make decisions from fear instead of common sense, and honestly, we're not as effective or productive as we could be. Not that we want to buy into productivity or hustle culture here, but if practicing self-care feels selfish because you're afraid it's keeping you from being advantageous, that's just not true. Turning your stress responses into tools for resilience so you can think clearly, show up consistently, and respond rather than react, that's not selfish. Myth number two, that's strategic. You don't have time or money for self-care. So the wellness industry has done a really good job at convincing us that self-care requires expensive and time-consuming wellness trends and products. But the truth capitalism doesn't want you to know is that real self-care or creative self-care requires $0 or equipment. You simply need a little curiosity in the present moment you're in, because creative self-care is about making small tweaks to your everyday human experience so it's more supportive for you and your nervous system. You're already breathing. We can make that calming or energizing. You're already moving. We can make that movement relieve your stress or ease your pain. You're already thinking. We can shift those thoughts from something harmful to something helpful. By taking just a little bit of time to better understand who you are and how you function, you can transform ordinary moments into powerful tools for healing and resilience. It's really Myth number three, self-care should make you happy. This is one of my biggest pet peeves about self-care, because people seem to think it's synonymous with happiness, and we can thank capitalism for that mental programming. Anyway, while I love happiness, practicing self-care so it makes you happy is kind of missing the mark. And making happiness your main objective in life is actually kind of harmful, because it tends to gloss over your real needs. So here's the truth, which is kind of a bummer, but your brain isn't designed to be happy all the time. Happiness is the result of several internal and external conditions lining up just right. The only consistent thing happening in your brain is surveillance. Your brain is a natural born problem solver, and its main objective is keeping you safe, healthy, and functioning. And this process, an optimal state, is called homeostasis. And since your well-being is your brain's biggest concern, it's always going to be on the lookout for things that may challenge or disrupt your prime homeostatic condition. And your responsibility through all of this is your self-care, which are the actions you take to make sure you stay in homeostasis. And the result of those actions are more likely to feel like relief, relaxation, or self-assurance. Happiness will show up when your brain feels like everything else is under control and you're engaging in something that's pleasurable. Myth number four, purposeful. Self-care doesn't actually work. So there's a few reasons why your self-care may not land the way you want it to. First, the tools you're using may not actually be fitting your needs. Second, your intention might be off. Either you're doing it for the wrong reasons, like chasing happiness, instead of building real coping skills, or you're approaching it from desperation instead of curiosity. And the third reason why your self care may not be, quote, working is because you're expecting change to happen too quickly. Practicing creative self care is going to help you get the right tools, a clear intention, and realistic expectations so you can actually see results. You're not broken if meditation doesn't work. You're not failing if journaling feels like torture. And you are not weak if you can't just positively talk your way out of real problems. Your failed self care isn't about you being an inept human. It's about not having found the right tools for you yet. The tools we're going to learn are flexible and designed to work with whatever life you're actually living and not what you've come to expect from TikTok and Myth number 5, I should be able to handle this on my own. This might be the most damaging myth of all. The idea that needing support or strategies means you're weak. Your nervous system was designed for a much simpler world with community and support. You are dealing with levels of stress, stimulation, and complexity your ancestors never had to face. Your brain is doing its absolute best with limited tools. But you're changing that because you're here now, getting support and learning a new way of managing stress. That's not weakness, my friend. That's fucking wisdom. All right, those are the myths. Let's talk about what we're actually going to be doing here. As I've mentioned before, creative self-care is 6 evidence-based practices that help you complete stress cycles, regulate your nervous system, and make choices from clarity instead of chaos. But in order to be able to use those tools effectively and efficiently, we're going to have to understand a little bit about who you are and how you function. This is going to allow you to be flexible with those self-care tools so you can adapt them to fit your personality and lifestyle and address whatever your brain and body need at any moment. So, until we meet again, your homework is to catch these myths when they pop up. This awareness is the first step in changing the limiting beliefs you may have about yourself or your self-care. You don't have to change these thoughts. You don't have to challenge them. Just notice them when you find yourself coming up with excuses for why you shouldn't be practicing self-care. And then when you're ready, I'll see you right back here so you can start learning about your incredible human machine, because you can't transform your stress unless you understand the processing system it goes through. All right, get to work. I love you. Bye.